This is a video on how to use the Harbor Freight portable tire changer and the balancer as told by an idiot. I'm not going to waste your time with an intro or a song, let's just go. So, the first thing that you're going to want to do is actually anchor this thing into concrete or mount it to a pallet or do like we did and put it on a trailer hitch, like a 2x2 piece of steel. You do not want to just put this thing on the ground and expect it to work, because while I've done it in the past, it will not work that great. It'll make demounting tires pretty impossible because you'll have to hold the tool and try to demount it at the same time, or like break the bead. Demounting the actual tire, like taking it off the bead, is nigh impossible. You have to do that by hand on the ground and not use the changer. It just makes it so much easier if you just anchor it. You can get bolts to anchor into concrete that already exists, or you can pour new concrete, either one. Or be smart and do like we did and do it on a trailer hitch. Anyway, let's jump into actually changing the tire. So obviously the first thing that you want to do is take the old tire off of your wheel. This little shoe here fits inside between the tire and the rim itself. You gotta make sure that you get it in there pretty well, and then you just push down and off it goes. The inside of the wheel might be a little more difficult because there's more material on the barrel of the wheel. And if you see that it broke a little bit but it won't go the rest of the way, just rotate the tire a little bit and keep working your way around until your bead is broken all the way around. Once you've done that, put the tire on top of the machine. Now, this machine has this little spider thing. Mine's kind of broken. You want to make sure that you're not doing it this way, with the little fins like a rocket ship going to space. You want to have them the other way. This is basically like a funnel that holds the wheel in there. If you do this, it's basically just going to scratch your wheel. You don't want that. I did this wrong in the entire video. It's like this the whole time when I should have had it like this. Don't make the same mistake I did. But we're going to do it anyway just to prove you can still do it. We're going to have our supplied tire iron. This comes with a tire changer. While we're lubing it up with WD-40 here, you can use that. You can use dish soap. You can use tire lubricant or whatever. Get the bead of the tire on top of this little spike thing here, and then we're just going to rotate. I did clockwise, you can do counterclockwise, using this post in the middle as leverage to help you. Now, your tire is going to be slanted like this, and you're going to be thinking to yourself, hey, I should use this opportunity to put my tire iron in here at the top where it's closest to where I need it to be, and it'll be super easy. That is not the case. You don't want to do that. You want to go to the lower edge because you have an open space to put your tire iron into. Just take my word for it, or struggle trying to do it in the tighter area. Your choice. And I've found that the second bead is way easier to remove than the first, typically. So now that my paint has dried for a couple days, I'm going to put the wheel back on top of the machine. Once again, I put the spider the wrong orientation. Do not do that. And it's important to note I actually broke my little spider thing. It's missing a thingy here, and it's bent to hell. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, just do it right. You might as well replace the valve stems because they're cheap, like maybe $6 for a set of 4 of them at AutoZone, or even cheaper on Amazon. So all you do to install a new one is liberally apply some dish soap or tire lubricant or WD-40 or whatever you have. Then we pop our valve stem through the hole here. I wrapped the valve stem itself with a couple layers of shop towels or paper towels just to not damage the valve stem. And then you just pull with a pair of channel lock pliers or regular pliers. Apply leverage as needed. And then we're going to put the new tire on. So I'm not going to show the beginning of this, the first half of the bead, because that's super easy and you'll get it. Where the trouble lay is the second half of the tire, basically the other bead. I lubed both beads with dish soap before I did this. So when you're doing this, you may be tempted to say, well, I want this tire to be as flat as possible because that takes up the least circumference possible, which seems like it would make sense, right? But that's wrong. So you do not want your tire laying on top of the wheel like this. There's actually a channel inside of your wheel, as shown here. And you want your tire to fit inside that channel. And it doesn't make any sense, but it's easier to mount the tire. In fact, it's possible to mount the tire when your bead, like when your tire is half mounted and your bead is sitting inside that channel. It allows the bead of the tire to move inward towards the center of your wheel, and that allows you the extra space that you need to get your tire mounted. These are 31s, and people think that they're very challenging to do on their own, but they're really not, because you just got to utilize that channel. It will probably be frustrating your first couple times to get this mounted to where you can actually finish the tire, and I found that lubing the tire iron itself is the way to go, and not the rim and not the bead of the tire, because then it allows what you have mounted to the rim to stick to the rim and not to slip off. Well, that took longer than it should have. So now we have our last little bit of tire to mount. And we're done. And now this is the horrifying part. You have to seat the bead, and these 31s are super simple. Yours might not be. I recommend picking up a couple of ratcheting toe straps. And if your tire doesn't want to seat immediately, or like you hear the air rushing out, just put your toe strap around the middle of the tire and tighten the heck out of it, and then that will hopefully push the bead outward enough to where the air will catch. Once the air catches, and you can hear it, then release your toe strap because you don't want to break it, and then continue on as I'm doing here. Come on, pop. I hate this part. There it goes. Once the top bead is seated, don't give yourself a false sense of security and think, alright, I'm good to go. Actually look at the bottom bead and see if it's seated, because in this case, it has not. There it went. So now our tire is mounted, and all we have to do is balance it. Now I have the Harbor Freight balancer here, about 80 bucks. There is one critical piece of information before we get started. This thing is a two-piece. It has a little spiky thing on there, and then I don't know if you can see it. I'll get a better picture of this. There's a little mounting thing in there. Now what will happen is you can put this in there haphazardly and have it sitting off to the side all weird like this. Make sure that that little tiny hole in there in the very center is exactly on this little spike here. Otherwise you're going to have a nightmare trying to balance this tire, because it's going to be cockeyed and it's not going to want to move very well. Very important. So like physically look up in there and make sure that it's on there correctly, okay? Very, very important, if I haven't said it once or twice before. See how freely that moves. This piece here, you have a little bubble level on the top. It also has 3 screws, and basically you want to set the machine correctly on the stand. Then you want to make it level. You just unscrew or screw in the little screws on the top until it's level. That's your starting point, and that allows you to where if you're not on level ground, you can adjust it. There's a lot of reviews on this thing where people are like, why don't they make it level from the factory? You're an idiot. It's so you have adjustability, just in case. So we're going to put our big old tire on top of this thing. It actually has a cone here to where it doesn't matter what your center bore is, it will center it automatically. Just be careful not to bump it off of its little spike. And make sure that your wheel is fully seated on here. Give it a little push downward. Not sideways, but downward. And then basically all you want to do is look at your level and whichever direction the tire is in. So see that the bubble is towards me, or the bottom of the screen. That's the direction you're going to put the weights in. So this tire took only 1 ounce of weights actually on this side, so it was very balanced from the factory. You just put them on there, give the tire a little tap so it can level out, and then you'll stick your weights on the wheel itself. I chose the inside of the barrel here. If you're having trouble with your tire and it seems like you're going backwards and you put weights on this side and it gets lighter on this side, consider removing your pet cat from under the tire.
He's in the way, boy. He's in the way. Yeah.
If your pet cat is resilient and won't leave, go sit with him for a while and ask him about his day. And my tire is perfectly balanced. And that's it. So this is a very easy to use tool once you know how to use it. Don't make the mistakes that I did in the beginning. I didn't know about the little channel in the wheel. Big mistake. I didn't know about mounting it to an actual like trailer hitch or into concrete. Huge mistake. And I eventually learned about only using soap on the tire iron itself to mount the tires. Small mistake. I hope this video has helped you in some way. If it has, great. If it hasn't, but as usual, you be good while I'm gone, and I will see you in the next video. Have a good week.